Good evening, everybody. This is David slash Asher, and well, so far joining me is MPX.
Yeah,
Uh, Still no clue what's going on with Fatas.
he's having a vacation. Whether this vacation lasts, a month or a year is up to him.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just I'm seeing if I can at least grab one other person so that it's just not
Not
me.
quite as
I haven't fully learned that keeping things up without putting foot in mouth.
well, it is a skill.
Yeah.
Let's face it, the ability to talk and keep up without dead air happening is a problem sometimes.
Yep. Sad to say, I did not do any grinding because I was mixed bag of worried about everything. But I think we were pretty much... We have 10 chests left?
That's I think a fair amount of hidden chests.
Yeah.
Not to mention, it's also a question of how many of the chests are traps.
Yeah.
Because isn't that a thing?
Yeah, that's the thing, and...
Makes it vastly different.
Yeah. Since I'm doing Geomancer...
Trying to level them up desperately.
Not doing Geomancer anymore. It's like, now I have to actively avoid the spike pits.
I thought you equipped him with the Danger Walk.
Abilities... What? Oh! Hmm. Yeah, I put Light Step on him. Really, I'm not sure how many times I've escaped, but... probably a good chunk of the time. Let's see... Okay, so I still have the Hidden Passage equipped. Most of the mummies are gone. Wait, this was... didn't even have to go down this route. Sorry, everybody, just trying to get reacquainted and what needs to be done. Ugh. Did I lose 88 magic?
Maybe.
Okay. Okay, took care of those. Oh no! Spikes! Let's see. No! Fuck this guy. Yeah. Okay, got the 88 back. Uh,
Unfortunately, I don't have much to talk about.
yeah. Ugh.
Like, was there any new announcements that we didn't already know from the summer game stuff?
None that I know of.
Actually, that's a better question. Should we call this, instead of E3, Keeley 3?
Oof. Admittedly, that could work. I mean, things we could talk about, although probably not in the best option, would be various other things, like talking about maybe... Okay, I think I got all of those. Fuck this person. Uh... Well, this is a garbage fight.
Yep.
I'm not gonna save, but it's like... If I die, I'm just gonna load from that save. Okay, here we go. Fuck the Lamia Queen. I believe this is where we left off last time. Yep. Huh. Did not know that's how that worked. think that's our second ribbon. And do we want to go down? Okay. Oh no, monsters. The damned. Okay, these guys.
Aren't nearly as bad as some things.
Yeah. Eh. Did you? Let's see.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, hello.
Yeah.
That
What up? Let's say you guys on stream. What's down today?
Final Fantasy V, and basically it's just us two? Because Fate has not shown up in forever.
Okay, did he disappear from disco or something? Because yeah, I haven't seen him in a few days.
Well, he usually
definitely
does.
hasn't shown up for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, Asher has seen him online in various other formats other than Discord. So we're just simply guessing that he's just taking a vacation.
Yeah.
Maybe he's also having a goblin week.
Or a month, who knows?
Yeah, well,
I don't think it's anything terrible, but who can say?
Yeah. But, so, you've probably seen the news. Dragon's
be more
Dogma.
Oh, I was gonna say be more specific. No,
There's a lot
actually,
of news that has been going on. I mean, that's the constant news.
Yeah, so what about Dragon's Dogma 2? Did it get a release date or something?
No, just the fact that we can actually
Wish
see.
list is on Steam.
Oh yeah, I wish my wish list did it today, like just an hour ago or so.
So, are you annoyed that there are cat people?
Mildly, it's not game breaking for me, but it is mildly annoying.
Even
Especially
though they're
because
not
they
like trying to do like cutesy cat people.
Yes, if they would have done cutesy cats people, I would have been like, yes, thank you. But since they did fucking Khajiit, I'm like, you gross furries, get out of my fucking game. I'll mop them out
Frothgar.
later. I'll mop them out later. I'm sure there's already somebody working on it. Somebody like me saw that and went, "You gross," and immediately started working on a mod.
Other than that, are you hopeful for the game?
Oh yeah, I love the first game. I don't know much about it, but then again, I don't think anybody really does now, at this point.
Well, okay, you remember when we initially found out the news, it was because I was initially watching somebody's 50-minute analysis of the trailer.
Yeah, they're over. I saw that video, I didn't watch it, but I saw their ultimate spurg out, like, analysis of the trailer.
Well, 50 minutes is pretty much spurred out when you consider that they ended up stating that they were talking for 90 minutes unedited
Yeah.
about a 2-minute trailer.
Yeah, a 2-minute trailer where they go over everything in exact detail. I can tell you now, this is what we know, that it is
Well-
in fact a game.
Well, that's pretty accurate. But a couple things. A, they're reusing a fair amount of the art assets, essentially. Like, obviously it's being modernized because it has been over 10 years.
Yeah, that's not... See, some
But
people consider that, like, really bad form, like the people who complained about all the reused animations in Elden Ring from, like, the first Dark Souls. I'm like, I don't care.
Well, a lot of those animations are probably semi-modified or just simply, you know, almost like in-jokes. Like the entire undead spurg out attack from Dark Souls 1.
Yeah, and the one that people constantly pointed to and made fun of, both the people that were like, lol, that's funny that they're keeping it, and people like, oh, they're so lazy, why do they reuse this animation from fucking Dark Souls 1? And it's the animation of the skeleton putting itself back together.
Because that was a really good animation.
They're like,
I
it's the
mean-
exact same animations as Demon Souls, fucking lazy game developers.
And versus like people like Mass Effect where it's like, oh,
Elevators.
Yeah, elevators. Gotta hide everything with elevators. No loading screens, but really long elevator rides.
But anyway, some other thing, like they did a comprehensive analysis on a lot of the equipment and weapons, even going as so far as to say that there are some permutations or changes. Like some of them seem to be slightly modified or changed. Like they're not exactly the same.
Well, I mean, I would hate it if they were exactly the same, because I pretty much played that game to death years ago.
Well, yeah, but there's a difference between like the initial assets that you're seeing. Like if they just simply add on to it, that you're not going to be annoyed that much.
Yeah, exactly. If they added to it, then yeah, I don't care.
I mean, it's like Pokemon. You don't mind, you know, getting a new generation of Pokemon as long as you get to keep it, or at least as long as we're keeping the original Pokemon and adding on to it, it's not that bad.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. If every new Pokemon was just the same 150 Pokemon, I'd be getting kind of annoyed.
yeah.
But, you know, if it's the same 150 Pokemon plus new stuff, it's like, oh, well, yeah, it's still new stuff. So,
Admittedly,
I don't care
people,
if they kept the old stuff.
yeah, people got annoyed with Sword and Shield, with its like, yeah, we took out like half the Pokedex.
Yeah, well, I can understand why people got upset, but at the same time, I understand why they did it.
Yeah.
Arguably, they should probably consider that going forward. It's just simply because of the ecological nature of the world.
Yeah.
About it.
Yeah, they should be like, well, obviously tropical Pokemon aren't going to be in fucking Antarctica.
Anyway, cutscene time, so time to voice stuff. What's going on? I think this is the only one that doesn't have a boss at the end?
Huh? I thought the boss was sort of like. I thought there was a boss.
I think at the beginning. Because of the whole gargoyle thing.
Look, something's written on the tablet. The
Dragon King Bahamut? Huh? Oh no, the peninsula that looks like vaguely like a dragon. The peninsula, it's sinking. Instead arises a giant dragon. God. Uh-oh, here it comes. I await thee at the summit of North Mountain. Whoosh. Bye! Over there, it's the airship. And I missed 2 chests. I do not feel like doing that on stream. That is a lot of nice. Bye. Uh.
I've been trying to get back into playing Dwarf Fortress, but for some reason it doesn't hold my attention as much as RimWorld does.
I think it's because of the factor that, like, Dwarf Fortress and RimWorld, while similar games, appeal to slightly different people, because Dwarf Fortress, while really good, as far as I know, the modding community for it was mostly just graphical mods until recently.
No, there's actually pretty big, there was a pretty big modding community for old Dwarf Fortress. Like, people did a lot with old Dwarf Fortress.
Yeah, but, like, as far as I recall, it wasn't, like, adding in new races or all this stuff. It was mostly just...
Are you kidding me? It's like, there's a guy who did an entire, like, from the ground up redesign of the game that made it a space opera.
Yeah, but...
I remember it was called, like, Lost Last Twilight or something like that, but it was really good, and it wasn't just a graphical overhaul, it was, like, a complete change of the game to a space, like, post-apocalypse.
Yeah, but as far as I know, that was one of the few exceptions. Most of them were just...
Well, true, I suppose it was a exception, but yeah, no, there's plenty of race mods, like, people always were doing race mods, like play the goblins or play elves, or hell, they even added like Elder Scroll races and stuff.
Yeah.
It was surprisingly simple, and all you had to do was change some ASCII characters. You didn't have to draw fancy graphics for your people, but no, it's more attachment to my little RimWorld dudes, because in Dwarf Fortress, it's just there's so many of them, and their information is buried behind so many menus that I just see them as little dudes on the screen. Like, I don't get attached to them.
Whereas with RimWorld, you can just click on a person and it's like, well, there's all the information right there.
Yeah, and it's like, I feel like I can know them more, and like, they're more apparent and prevalent. Even though I fully recognize and admit that I think Dwarf Fortress is the much better put together game, but to be fair, it's been in production for like 20 years, so...
Yeah.
But I've tried, even with the Steam update and the graphics overhaul, it just doesn't hold my attention for very long. I get bored very easy. Whereas, obviously, I don't get bored of RimWorld, because I have like fucking 4,000 hours in it.
Anyway, cutscene time. Oh, it's the Wind Dragon. It's Lena. Yay, finally a fourth party member that I needed, like, several hours ago. Lena, are you okay? Come on, wake up. Say something. This body belongs to me. Shit. Lena! What the? I summon you, fell beast, from your millennium-long prison between the dimensions. Go forth, Melusine. X-Death. Oh, I totally botched X-Death's voice.
That's how you know I'm evil. My name is X-Death.
Death. All that once sealed inside the rift is now mine to command. Lena, stop, please. Lena. Face destruction at your friend's hands. Death. Please excuse me for a moment. I have a turtle infestation to take care of. Also, my cousin, Shredder. He's requesting some assistance as well.
Speaking of Ninja Turtles, I'm reminded of that. What's his name? Dr. Bakeman?
Which one are you thinking? Like, which villain?
The guy who invented the robots.
Yeah, that's Dr. Bakeman, who's also a reference to The Fly.
Yeah, okay. Because in the original animated series, he wasn't a bad guy. He just kind of got fucked over by the turtles. Like, kind of their fault he turned into a villain.
Oh no! Well, there goes free healing at the library. Soon, very soon, the power of the void will be mine completely. The entire earth will kneel before me. Let it stop. Windrake, smash! Sacrificing himself, Hiryu attacked! The demon is expelled from Lena's body. Just squished right out. Now! And... okay, this is... this is the unedited sprite.
How can you tell it's the unedited sprite?
She's not wearing spats.
Ah.
Okay.
So yeah, this is our current problem.
Yeah, I don't have...
Anything to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. I was being quiet because I thought you were still doing cutscene stuff, and I didn't want to.
No, it's mostly just... It's a fight. It's a boss fight.
I'll watch it. I'm doing other stuff, but I
Yeah.
need somebody to fill time. Like, be annoying and run my fucking stupid mouth.
Or at least fill in the dead air with something.
Yeah.
But yeah. Nope, realizing that maybe playing with 500 plus mods on Remote is a bad idea. So I am currently trying to clean up my list. Because it takes forever for anything to get done.
Yeah.
But yeah, part of me fully understands that Dwarf Fortress is a superiorly designed game that has much more ambitious ideas, but there's just something about RimWorld that keeps me coming back. Even though the game is bullshit. And sometimes stuff literally happens for no reason just because the game arbitrarily decides. Something hasn't happened in a while, so we're gonna make something happen for no reason. Not like, oh, this person's attacking you. Because, you know, you angered them. It's because it's time for you to write it. Or we see that you've dealt with all of your neighbors.
Well, welcome to the start of the battle again.
Okay.
Yeah. Time Mage in 5 has the ability called Return. It starts the battle from the beginning.
No, so you didn't die, it's just...
It's just annoying as crap because it's one of those, like, god damn it moments.
Did you use that skill, or was that skill used on you?
Kryl had Entice cast on her. And so, basically, she, being muddled, / confused, cast Return.
Why is that in the game?
There are reasons why you would want something like that.
You know, they gave you a take me back, but
It's... Time Mage can be helpful with doing certain setups, and using that actually does some pretty good stuff. It's just one of those situations where it's like, that feels kind of hot garbage.
I imagine. This thing feels bad, man. Now I have to start the map fight over from the beginning because of random bullshit interactions.
Yeah. Okay. But, at least I'm now doing better damage to it this time?
Good for you. Do everything over. Do it better.
Yeah. And dead! Haha! I was not prepared for that fight, but...
I don't know, it doesn't seem as bad as the summoners from the pyramid.
Yeah. Now it's more cutscene. Lena. But Lena. Sarisa, Kryl, the castle. We were... The darkness. We know. Don't try to speak. Lena, join the party. Alright, now time to shuffle people around. And jobs. Kryl. Trying to think of a good thing to put Kryl on right now.
Berserker? I don't know.
Zerk.
Well, I'm trying to remember, is there any good reason why you would want them on a Berserker? Like, for anything, like, stat related?
Stat related? I believe... actually, we'd probably want her on Berserker so that she'd learn, like... Because Freelancer does actually get boosts by completing some jobs.
Well, yeah.
And I believe Berserker gives the highest boost out of, like, boost the strength out of all the jobs.
Which makes sense.
But also, I believe Berserker gives you the ability to dual wield?
I thought that was Ninja, or am I thinking of a different one?
No,
usually Ninja gets dual wield.
I
Usually,
might be thinking of Tactics.
maybe tactics, but I believe, like, I'd have to look at the ability list. But I'm pretty sure Berserker...
Or no, it's a Ninja or is it Monk that gets dual wield with Tactics?
well... In
'Cause I
this...
know a Ninja gets throw anything.
Yeah, Ninja does definitely gets throw in this one. Can enter the interdimensional rift near where Castle Tycoon used to be. You have to hurry. It won't be much longer before Exdeath gains the full power of the Void. But Guido said we hadn't the power to fight him and win.
Saying that in that voice, it's pretty.
Yeah,
It's only a matter of time before he gets the full power of the Void.
well, the problem
That's
is,
one
like...
of those annoying Japanese, like, Gundam mascot characters saying that.
Well, given the fact that, like, I can't really do a good female pirate voice that is trying to also imitate a man.
Yeah, but no, it's just... The image in my head is one of it's like an annoying Japanese mascot character in an anime just saying that.
It's like, we have to defeat him before
Only a matter of time before he gets the power of the Void. Like, just a really annoying voice and a really garishly colored
Okay,
character.
there's a difference between the actual Japanese voice actor saying that and then the ocean dub of the 90s.
Good God. We'll need the 12 legendary weapons first, and they're all sealed in the castle of Kuza. There's no time to waste.
Castle Kuza.
Castle of Kuza. Admittedly, you don't actually have to get the 12 weapons.
It's Final Fantasy, of course you know.
They said no one could control the infinite power of the Void. Pathetic fools.
It came out. I just saw an article earlier. So it's like, there's a reason why Redfall was so fucking bad.
Well, yeah.
Executive
And
meddling?
one part which I didn't realize was how much the studio itself didn't want to do it.
Yeah, like half of Arcane quit because of they refused to make this game. So they lost all their veteran talent and like half the studio left
Ow!
over the game because they're like, we don't want to make this piece of shit, and Xbox is like, you're gonna.
So basically, Arcane...
Arcane's dead, like, at this point.
Yeah, because if the people who were there to make things such as like Dishonored and Prey aren't there anymore. What's sad is that the concept of Redfall could be done.
Yeah, but see, here it came out today. It's not an article.
Yeah.
They admitted it. The reason why it's such a piece of shit and why it was so garbage when it came out is because they executive meddling and they were entirely focused on making it a live service. It died because that was the primary reason for the game's existence, was how can we make a game that is recurrently monetizable and not how can we make a good Arcane game.
Admittedly, one thought that came in, should we stop so you can finish the cutscene?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Power of the Void. Heed my call. Reveal your true form. Go forth and destroy everything. Show how absolute your power really is.
Absolute power.
And there goes that town. There goes that town. Wait. Shit.
Did you forget something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you discover something that you shouldn't have forgot?
Was that more? Because...
Which one's more?
The one that Ramu's usually by. I believe that's the town that we have to go grab the special knife from.
No, I thought that was a separate village.
Okay.
But then again, like, isn't it in the hidden village?
No, I thought it was in one of the other villages, but... All the towns are being sucked into the void. Exdeath, Stop! No, the Moogle village. Those. Whoop-whoop.
You know, this is gonna be a controversial hot take here, but I don't really like Moogles.
Oh, okay. Like, are we talking like Final Fantasy VI Moogles, or are we talking like
Moogles in
Moogles in
general,
general.
like, I've never really cared for their design. The only Moogle design I've ever liked is also the one that I know they're never going to do again, and that was the way they designed Moogles in 12. I don't like the hyperinflated marshmallow look.
the puffball look?
Yeah, like... Yeah, I don't like the Moogles that look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Mans. With bat wings and a pom-pom. I like the ones in 12.
Well, that's the weird part, was the fact that the Batwings and the Pom-Pom were there well before 12s, but...
No! Listen, I'm saying that I like the design in 12. I don't like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I'm just saying that Moogles in general, to me, looked like ugly little Stay Puft Marshmallow Men with bat wings and pom-poms. I know they've always had the bat wings and pom-poms.
Yeah.
I'm just saying is that I like the way that they were designed in 12 better, because they actually look like fucking people. And not weird mascot characters.
Admittedly, like, I think in 6, most of them were basically, like, man-sized bears. For most of them. Because,
Yeah,
like, Mog is supposed to be, like, 4 foot. And he still has the pom-pom and the bat wings.
Yeah, but I don't like them. I don't like that design. I think it's ugly.
Would you rather have the Moombas?
The Moombas? I don't know what that is.
They were an attempt to create a much more edgier, like, cutesy character that was in 8.
God, I don't remember them.
Wait, there was a mascot character in 8?
Yes. Do you
I didn't-
remember the little orange tiger people from 8?
No.
No, yeah, I don't remember them at all.
Okay. Well, that's how.
Admittedly, I don't play 8, so...
Yeah, like, I don't like 8, so...
Admittedly, like, the only reason I remember that is because people were talking about the various quotations mascot characters, and the only one that technically that did survive from 8 was not the intended one, which is the little alien deedly boppers. The poo-poo. Little blue teardrop people. Whereas the intended one was like little tiny orange tiger people called Moombas.
I don't remember either of these creatures.
I feel like I'm gonna have to look this up. Anyway, continue the cutscene.
This is awful. Even a tiny place like Licks, Butts' hometown. How could anyone do such a thing? Ah! Butts got pissed and is now going to try and drive the airship straight into the void.
Okay, that's one thing that I didn't need to see.
That part of the internet?
Moomba Axel.
Butts, stop. Get a hold of yourself. Critical, which obviously I don't think this is it.
Okay, getting back to the topic of Redfall's design.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, the one thing that I realized is trying to do immersive sim gameplay within a looter shooter mechanic is one of the more difficult things to try to marry together.
Yeah, that sounds like a kind of dumb idea.
Well, it's not that it couldn't work, but it would be wildly erratic in terms of balance.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
you
it's-
could do it, but it'd
I
be
don't,
like,
I don't know how you do immersive sim and looter shooter at the same time.
well, I was thinking that one of the things that really makes an immersive sim is the amount of systems that are in place. Like,
Yeah.
we're not just talking like, oh, basic being able to point a gun and shoot, or do other basic things. Like, if we take the amount of systems in Call of Duty, it would probably only make a very relatively short list compared to, say, something like, Deus Ex or something like that, where it's like, it's not just simply, the health of the enemies, but it's also the health of objects in the environment itself. It's the nature of being able to position, mantle, or other such things over objects. Being able to change one's profile, such as being able to go prone and actually continue going forward. Like,
Yeah.
so I think it's the amount of systems involved. Like, I also ended up rewatching Cat's video about comparing Far Cry 2 to Far Cry 5. And like an amazing amount of those systems are indeed graphical in nature, but some of them aren't. Like, just simply how, fire is rendered or spreads or goes through the environment. How grenades work or how grenades affect the environment, such as in Far Cry 2, they actually, caused physics explosions, while in Far Cry 5, it's more like, we'll just delete the objects.
Yeah.
Because we don't want this system getting overloaded.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite things about Far Cry 2, was setting off the brush fires to blow up stuff.
Things like, the fact that running over the savanna high grass means that it's actually becomes low grass, or at least you see a track of where you've been.
Yeah. Yeah, little things like that are what make an immersive sim immersive.
Well, yeah. Well, those things are providing immersion, but not necessarily, on a gameplay deep method, but in terms of actually giving you extra immersion. So, in terms of, graphical fidelity and je ne sais quoi, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Je ne sais quoi.
Well, it feels like the world is living and breathing versus, just sort of, oh, this is a video game world. So the trees are made of concrete versus, oh,
Yeah.
they're made of wood.
Yeah, the trees are made of concrete. They are the most indestructible objects in the world.
I mean, trees are pretty tough, but it's things like you go back to Far Cry 2, and they actually had
Did it? Did something happen?
structural.
Oh.
That's the thing. Like,
Terrain for their foliage. First, look.
You're cutting in and out.
cutting out really bad. I was wondering if that was just me.
Is it an internet?
I'm not seeing any dips
Problem?
on my end.
Yeah, I can hear Asher okay, but MPX is cutting in. Nah, there he goes.
Oh boy. Ah, yes, the ultimate accessory Hermes sandals.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh.
Hello?
It just refuses to connect
Uh,
It's still a little
properly.
spotty.
Well, I don't know how to fix it.
Oh, well, now it seems to be working okay.
yeah, blame Discord.
I've got in the
Oh, there it goes again.
no. Oh, what?
Yeah, it sounds like Discord's
I'm
dropping
blaming-
packets back and forth.
I mean the network.
Hmm. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yep. Death. Life. Death.
Life, death.
And taxes. Back there, PX. Working now.
Is-
Hopefully monitoring the situation to see if it starts going red again.
yeah.
Okay, seems to be doing alright.
Uh, Anyway, do we want to continue where I was talking, or
Yeah.
okay? I think the biggest problem is that just simply trying to provide balance, because while you could have the creative, drop system for an immersive sim, it would be chaotic.
Yeah, that's generally my feeling on it.
And it would not work well with the idea of, a live service in a sense of, oh, hey, we'll just simply, provide a service for
Well, I
people
mean,
who.
It works well in the perspective of a live service for somebody who wants to make it infinitely monetizable, i.e., pay to win.
Not necessarily. I mean, if it's about creative solutions, suddenly you no longer need, the essentially bigger number problem.
You have
Well, I mean,
mastered the
that is if your desire is to actually make an immersive sim and not something that is masquerading as an immersive
Mhm.
sim.
Well, Redfall was not even an immersive sim. It's barely functioning as a video game.
Yeah.
It's funny, that's something that I thought about today. It's like, how sad is it that in this year, in modern day, year of our Lord 2023, that the difference between a good video game and a bad video game is, does it launch? When I click the executable, does it open? And it's sad that this is where the fucking gaming industry is at. Is they can't even make a game that works.
I feel like this is mostly because of the whole executive meddling bullshit.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody keeps telling me I'm dumb, but I'm telling you, another gaming crash is on the way. It's not gonna wipe out video gaming, which people seem to think that's what I mean when I say they crash along the way. No, because the indies will always be there.
Yeah.
But soon it's gonna only be indies because all the AAA developers are gonna burn out because they can't make money because they keep producing fucking garbage.
Considering that one of the things that I decided, like, because I was being bored, I decided to just do a couple of things with Nintendo. Like, Nintendo has this thing of, like, oh, earn several credits that you can get for... Oh, hey, more's still here. Which means I can still do this. Nice. Okay, but basically it's... Like, I decided to go check out a game that was, like, demo because, like, I'll get these free credits because it's, like, it helps me create... just by doing these things, I can get them for free, and I can then create my own avatar on the Switch. And it's, like, the game, this one was, NBA 2K23, and I'm like... I'll just download it, pop it up for 5 seconds, and then get rid of it. And here's the bullshit of it.
Did it fail to do that?
Oh no, it told me, like, you don't have enough space.
No, well.
And I'm like, what? But no, apparently the game requires 44 gigabytes of space.
Jesus.
Which game?
NBA 2K 2K23.
Wait, why would you be downloading NBA 20K?
Because I was trying to do something that, like, just trying to get some free stuff from...
Oh.
The eShop.
Yeah. Ah, here we go! What have we here? Getting this far means you must be very brave. Or...
I mean, I've been complaining about the size of video games for some time now.
Yeah. Or just very lucky. Outside which it is. If you think you're brave, take what's in the crate on the left. But if you know you're a coward, take what's in the one on the right. What will it be?
Yep, that's it.
Chicken knife! Gotten!
I'm gonna say, I think honestly the last couple of years of video game development and movies have proven the old adage that limitations make the art.
Yep.
Because now that we're in a world where basically there are no limits to budgets and what you can do with it, and not even space requirements or anything. It's like, yeah, essentially make your game as big as you need to, you know, with unlimited more or less budget, and it's like everything's kind of turned into shit.
So, currently, the chicken knife has plus 126 attack. So, to explain to everybody that's watching, the reason why I've been running from most of the fights is because of this one knife. Admittedly, the Braver sword, which was the other one in the left chest, that one no longer has the opposite of where every time you run from a fight, it decreases in strength. But the chicken knife still overall is still going to be better, because not only does it increase your attack, it also increases your agility.
Let me guess, it's from running from every fight.
It will continue to get stronger by running from fights. So, yes, the chicken knife is still crazy good. But, yeah, no... If anything, the whole quotations gaming collapse that's going to be happening, I believe, is that we're going to see a huge, and I do mean huge, like, a lot of major studios just drop or just close their doors.
Yeah.
And then it's just going to be, we're going to have the mega studios like EA, where quite literally people are going to be buying the same old game year after year.
Oh yeah, tell people to continue to buy the same game over and over again with very little change for some stupid reason.
Yeah. And because they're like, oh, well, it has this year's roster, and I'm like, and you're going to buy the same game next year.
Well, I mean, people buy fucking... What's the people... Like, that at least is something of an excuse. It's like, oh, it has the current roster of sports ball people. It's like, at least that's an excuse. What's the excuse for people to play fucking the same Call of Duty every year?
Admittedly,
Well, technically, there has been version differences between certain Call of Duties.
yeah.
Like, you know, when they started going to near sci-fi, it sort of, and they rejected it eventually.
Because people were like, I don't want sci-fi shooter. If I wanted sci-fi shooter, I'd go play Halo. Which...
Well, they drove that one into the ground, too.
Let's see here.
Yeah, far more so.
Yeah. Where is it? But it's one of those situations where it's like quite literally I still have that acquaintance that's like, Nintendo just needs to stop being a console and just needs to be just turn to Sega and then just make games for Steam. I'm like, why?
Yeah, why?
Why? And it's like, well, because they're competing up against the Steam Deck. No, they aren't. They absolutely are not.
Competing against the Steam Deck.
And his thing is that, well...
And does he think they're losing? Because I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, he thinks Nintendo's losing against the Steam Deck.
That's opposite of true.
And his reasoning is because, well, the Steam Deck has all the superior specifications. Like, it's a computer, you fuckwit.
Yeah, it's like...
And his thing is like, well, they're both electronics, and electronics, you should be able to customize all of them. And I'm like, have you not heard of dedicated hardware?
Yeah, that's dedicated hardware's a thing.
And a Nintendo Switch is dedicated hardware that...
And as much as I don't like it, there is a reason why dedicated hardware exists.
Yeah, and I've tried to explain to him that, like, by having dedicated hardware for consoles, you're not dealing with the various BS of, like, well, it worked on our computers, and your computer doesn't have the exact same specs as ours, so it's not going to work on yours. And the person's like, well, it is working, it's just not working perfectly on mine. So why aren't you trying to get it fixed to work perfectly on mine? It's like...
Yeah, that is the big reason why hardware unity is a thing. And why I say it's a valid thing. Is, dedicated hardware means that you don't have stupid bullshit like that.
Yeah, and it's why I'm not against consoles. I am actually for consoles.
I mean, I am a PC Master Race convert since, I started playing PC as an adult, but that doesn't mean I don't think that there shouldn't be consoles. I just think, why would I buy a console when I have a computer that does 8 times more stuff? But that doesn't mean that it's not a valid thing.
Yeah. I mean, I am one of those people that's like, I can see the purpose of a console. Does it mean that I'd want to play a game on the Nintendo Switch when I can play it on my PC?
No.
No, because
But
my PC version, the PC version's going to give me a lot more control. But if I can only play the game on the Switch, it then comes into, do I actively want to play this game?
yeah.
Or, like, what about this game makes me interested in it? Can I get it, like, can I get this on another console? Admittedly, I've been slowly weaning off of the teat of PlayStation because the factor that everything that's on PlayStation is on PC.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's the reason why I stopped playing Xbox, other than Xbox got garbage, but...
yeah, and that's the...
It's like all their stuff, they announced that they're making all of their first-party stuff simultaneously release on the Xbox and PC, so it's like, okay, so there's literally no reason for me to get an Xbox.
Yeah, so at this moment in time, the only console that that I honestly can go like, okay, is my Nintendo Switch, because it's like it has games that I can get on the Switch, but I can't necessarily get it on PC.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna name a couple that some people are going to go, actually, and I'm gonna go, fuck you, that's called region locking, you asshats. Super Robot Wars, barring Super Robot Wars 30, like T, V, and X, I can only get on the Switch with the English on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I know it's on Steam, but it's only released for the SEA region. And it is so hard locked that, quite literally, some people that have done the VPN or region swapping have gotten their accounts locked or banned by Steam by doing it.
Yeah, it's like, it's not worth it.
And I'm like, that's not worth it. Because the PC version is the equivalent of, like, the collector's editions, where it's like you can have stored MP3s and then select them as the songs that will play during the battles. Would I like that feature? Yes, I would like that in the standard one. Do I want to deal with chicanery, dealing with trying to get cracked copies of the game? That's a different problem, and that's mostly because of the fact that the few that I encountered were cracked in such a fashion that quite literally the crackers, the people that
Hey, we prefer the term saltine American.
the code, the script kiddies, made it so that you had to have a special code from their own website to unlock their cracked version of the game. I'm like,
yeah, that bullshit.
And I'm like, and this is the only one I can easily get without joining and spending like 6 months in a community that I'm just going to be sitting there lurking in.
Yeah, no, it's to me, those aren't legitimate cracks. If somebody's like, "Oh, yeah, here's my crack of this game. Here's the 18-step list of things you have to do to bypass the region lock. Oh, and here's the extra plugin you have to run in the background that requires a password that you can only get from me or my friends on my Discord server." It's like, no.
I'm willing to do the 18-step thing because there have been some fan translations of games that are like, okay, you need to have this specific ISO, you need to do this specific process to patch the game, because we're not going to provide you the ISO, we're just going to provide you the steps on how to patch the ISO of that copy of that game. If you have a different version, here's those steps. If you have this version, we're getting to you soon enough. Please wait. But when it's like you have to have a special code, or you have to get this set up this special verification thing that has to verify you have an account with our community. And I'm like, no, fuck that. Why? Also, cutscene time. Sildra, you're alive. Ghost Sildra. Ferris, what are you talking about? Ferris, do you see something? Don't you? Sildra's right there. Sildra's your name? Oh, you're such a good girl. Cryle, you can see her. Sildra's spirit says she wants to help you, Ferris. Eh? Such a kind soul. Receive the summon monster, Sildra. Now back to talking about various garbage crack stuff.
I lost my train of thoughts.
But, well, getting back to, like, the whole thing of, like, have I seen people turn Steam Decks into portable emulation stations? Yes! I actually know a few people who have done that. And they absolutely enjoy it as such. But they do state that it's 100% like something that they wanted to try and do to see if it was possible. Do they say it's the best solution?
No.
I've actually seen some of them outright state that they'd rather just build a computer dedicated for emulation than to buy a Steam Deck. Because while the Steam Deck is a lot easier because of various reasons, because you know they're all going to be the same specifications for the most part, the some of them don't allow for some emulations that they'd like to do, considering that one of them I've encountered is basically stating that they'd honestly rather not trying to think of a good way to put it. They'd rather not deal with some of the... Oh god, I'm trying to find a good way to say this. Basically, they just found the whole thing of like setting up the Steam Deck as just overtly complicated, that they'd rather just not deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
What,
like
making
shit.
it compatible?
It's
It's
more
like, yeah, sure, technically the Steam Deck is moddable hardware. Technically.
it's more of the factor that, like, the one friend that I talked to that did it, he kept the Unix-based system on the Steam Deck, but he had to do a lot of tinkering about to get all the emulators working properly on it, which, if you know Unix or Linux, okay, that's kind of standard, par for the course. But then there's the people that are like, I don't like this, so they go the Windows RT route. And then they have to make sure that the drivers are set up correctly, make sure, and then go about the same thing, but for Windows. And then if you botch any step on it, well, guess what? You have to redo the installation of Windows. Again. because while Steam does include a way of flashing your hardware back to standard information for the Steam Deck,
Well, I mean, yeah, I think most things with a factory reset nowadays.
but it was one of those situations where it's like, I've seen some people stated that, yeah, they'd rather not go through the hassle of trying to set up Unix-based emulators, and they didn't feel comfortable trying to install Windows on it and getting it working, or at least not without a dock plugged into it. And trust me, I've seen, like, some people are going, like, the official Steam dock is actually not the best one for it. But then again, I've seen some people just say, like, just get a standard USB-C dock for it and use that instead. But getting back to, like, actual hardware versus, like, computing, at this moment in time, I'd probably say that Xbox, I could see why somebody would still buy an Xbox, is because the whole integration between Windows and the gaming system, where you can link up your Xbox and treat your desktop computer as a media server, like a lesser version of Plex. But you can also connect up your play your Xbox games from your Xbox on your Windows computer, like Steam. What was the feature called where they still have it, where you can play your Steam games remotely?
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Remote play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that you can still play Xbox games that aren't necessarily on the game on the Windows Game Store or on Xbox. They're still only on Xbox, but they allow you to play the games remotely from your Xbox on your PC. So that's games like Blue Dragon and what's the famous one? Something Odyssey.
Lost Odyssey. I was just gonna say that. Like, fuck, we really need a Lost Odyssey remaster. That game is so
Yes.
beautiful.
That's the thing, is, like, I would like to have, even if it's just like an HD port.
Yeah, like, honestly, I kind of would prefer, like, a port. I don't want them fucking with it and adding modern bullshit into it. Because I know that's what they do.
It's a question of whether they would add modern bullshit, change character designs,
Change character.
change dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say the Lost Odyssey was a perfect game, but it was, like, story-wise, fucking wow.
It was
that game
far
was
more unique than a lot of RPGs at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game was fucking wow from a story perspective, and I really... Part of me wants a remaster, but at the same time, part of me doesn't, because I know the fucking current hacks in the industry could not resist fucking with it.
Changing the main character.
Not just that, like, just changing little things to be more in line with modern audiences.
I'd rather still keep the story as is, because it's fucking interesting.
It's fucking a good story.
Well, yeah, but that's sort of like, I think he's coming from the idea of how bad Last of Us Part 2 affected Last of Us Part 1, essentially.
Yeah.
It's
Just simply
exactly.
by association.
Well, I mean, and then look what they did when they remade Last of Us again. They changed it to justify Part 2. And that's what I'm saying, is that if they did if they remade, I'm afraid that if they did a remake of Lost Odyssey, they'd do the same shit. They'd change certain key figures, they'd change characters, they'd add needless detail to appeal to the quote-unquote modern audience, and it would just ruin the fucking game. It'd be like... You know what, I bet I know what they do, and I'm gonna fucking call it if they ever announce a remake. They'd probably make Seth Balmora a lesbian.
Wasn't she just not interested at all in romance?
No, she had a fucking husband.
She
I
did?
mean, she had to get, her son.
Okay, I didn't get that far. That's my problem.
Yeah.
She had a husband.
And then there's games that if they do it, they wouldn't touch it for the life of them, like Blue Dragon. Because...
That's what makes Sandland so weird as an announcement.
Yeah.
Like, did you hear about that one?
No, Sandland, what?
Okay, Sandland was a short manga by Akira Toriyama. This was like right off the heels of him completing Dragon Ball.
Okay, so
I wanna say.
like 90s?
I would say late 90s, early aughts. Like, that's where I think it was around. It might not be directly on the heels, but the idea was that it was a relatively short run. Like, let me just do the Wikipedia searching myself. Well, oh, right, I can't, because it's going to take so damn long to launch. Goddamn browser. This is why you keep multiple browsers in your pocket.
Oh yeah, today I learned that Bowser's apparently canonically 34.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I know. It's just random information I ran across. I cannot confirm its accuracy, but I just saw a random thing that's like, Bowser's canonically 34 years old.
In Mushroom Land years?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
Like, do I care whether Bowser is over the hedge or not? Like, it's not important.
Yeah, I know, right?
It doesn't matter.
It's
like-
one of those, like, cool question mark?
I could see the only reason why it would be there is because of some sort of in-joke in, like, Japanese nomenclature, like a pun. Sanjushi. I can't think of anything after that. But, okay, what was I supposed to be Wikipediaing?
Sand.
Sandland.
Sandland, there we go. Your Toriyama thing.
Because it currently looks like an open world action game, which is interesting.
I know nothing about the story, so I couldn't tell you if that's
Okay.
a good idea or not.
Oh wow, you were right, David.
Oh?
It is only one volume.
Oh!
It was the original run was from May 22, 2000 to August 28, 2000.
That's only like... And it was a weekly publication, or...?
Yes, it was Shonen Jump.
They're making a movie out of it? Or a game
They're making a
out of it?
video game out of
They're
it.
making a game out of it.
I mean, in some ways, if this is being worked with Akira Toriyama, which I can completely believe.
Yeah, like... I don't know if that's super cool. Or...
I don't know, it seems like one of those things of like, yeah, it's literally only 14 chapters long. Technically would be 2 takobans, but maybe they just simply threw it into one because it's so short.
Yeah. Or it's like a Super Tankobon.
I guess. Well, there is such a thing as doubles.
Yeah.
Like, Nausicaa was like 400 pages long versus the usual 200. Nothing to say about the association with Akira Toriyama in it, but admittedly, when I read it, because at the time, me and Asher were getting like the Shonen Jump translated.
The English attempt at doing Shonen Jump comics.
Yeah. So Sandland was in that run at the time.
As well as traditional Yu-Gi-Oh!
Well, you had traditional Yu-Gi-Oh! You had obviously the big three. I don't know what else was there, but essentially it was like
You mean Yu-Gi-Oh before, like, when shit was nuts?
It's like,
Well, yeah, essentially Chapter 1 Yu-Gi-Oh, yes. Where it's like, let's have a death game.
it's like, oh, I saw you taking candid photos of my friend, aka the girl, the token girl. It's like, yes, well, let's play a game. Well, I've decided that your punishment is that you will see everything is hyper pixelated. And the last shot is the guy basically doing the, like, looking up pose, holding his face, screaming, and you see, like, the heavy pixelation across his eyes.
It's like, that's a thing. It's like, and then they fucking hard pivoted to fucking card game.
I think it was just simply that his initial run was essentially a very different form. But once he ended up doing the card one, because eventually they did have like the initial run with Seto Kaiba, but it was based off of essentially the death game rules. Let's play a shadow game. But that one turned out to be so popular and so well received that eventually just sort of pivoted into that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also where the run was, where they also had the dungeon dice.
Yeah. See, I was interested in Dungeon Dice when it came out, but I just did not fucking understand, like, the rules.
Are we talking about the comic rules or the actual rules?
Yeah, I know I'm futzing around. It's just one of those, like, trying to figure out what to do? Oh no, I'm being sucked into the void.
Oh, hey. A CGI anime film adaptation co-produced by Sunrise. Kamikaze Gaga and Anima will be released in August 2023 for Sandland.
Okay. Also, cutscene time, so... What's that? The rift! Can't fight it! We're being sucked in! Good. We get a free ride. Here we go. I think... Yeah, no, I'm not going to go into the void. Fuck that. Anyway, back to... So, Sandland is getting a small animated OVA, then?
It says anime film, CGI.
Okay, so it's getting a film.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know what the length it is. It doesn't state.
Well, I mean, it could be like that length of that film that they did for the Dragon Quest IV, the Dragon Quest Your Story, which that one I think is like an hour and a half. Great, now I'm trying to figure out what I need to do in order to get the submarine back. Oh, right, I need to go to Firetown.
Okay, that's some interesting tidbits about the original novel. Well, manga. Toriyama just wanted to draw a manga about an old man and his tank. Because it seems like it was less that it was Shonen Jump trying to, like, okay, this isn't popular, let's end it. It seems like more like Toriyama tried to go back to doing the weekly Shonen Jump routine and saying, oh yeah, I'll draw everything myself. And soon regretted it.
Yeah.
So he probably ended up. He did state that it's like it was supposed to be a short story. So
yeah,
I don't think he intended it to ever go beyond,
But then again,
A
like,
year.
some people like... There are people out there that like Dr. Slump over Dragon Ball. And so, because, like, I remember the whole thing of, like, Eddie going, like, who's this a rail character?
Oh, yeah.
And I go, like, do you not know of Dr. Slump? And he's like, what the hell is Dr. Slump? It's like, okay.
It started in mangaka's previous manga. Very famous.
Yeah, and... Because, like, and it was... Eddie was not the only one that was like, who the fuck is a rail, and why is she taking up an entire
Why is she beating
episode?
up Vegeta?
And, like, when people find out, like, wait, she's an android? She's an android? No, she's a robot with bad eyesight.
Yeah. Which I always thought was funny. It's like, you're a robot with bad eyesight. Like, can't you fix that?
Nope, because Dr. Slump is kind of a bad roboticist.
You're fucking robots. Place your eyes.
It's like, can you fix my eyes? No. It's like,
No.
I can try. Nope, you made me even more nearsighted. That's not how that was supposed to work.
Here's a $3,500 solution for it.
Oh god. I've been looking at that and dreading the thoughts of this is the future of VR. Because
It's not
that's
the future of VR, it's the future of AR.
Yeah, I was gonna say, though, it's more
And even
augmented
then,
reality.
No, it's both. Because
It looks like it's Apple's attempt at the Google Glass, but somehow stupider.
apparently it has enough quotations Mac processing in it to do both VR and AR. And all I could think of is there's going to be some asshole that's going to try and do AR game like AR MMO stuff. And it's just going to be failing because it's like he's going to be fucking run over within a week.
Well, I mean, I don't know how many people have died to Pokemon Go, but I would certainly not say it's non-zero.
Yeah.
It's definitely a number higher than 0.
Well, it's always a question of whether people even knew that it was responsible, because I could see a lot of people just simply denying that, oh yeah, they were staring at their phone. So it was a phone-related death, not necessarily,
Pokemon
what was
Go.
on the phone.
Yeah, they were texting or looking at those TikToks.
Yeah, and that's where some of the problems arise, is that quite literally... like, one of the very first memes I saw, and I could not figure out why the fuck it was, other than, like, yeah, no, this is a piece of equipment, I don't know why, but the meme was, interviewer, are you reading off a script? Interviewee, no, and then it's a picture of the whole, like, Google Glass stuff, and their projected face on it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, once I actually found out that it was a thing, I was like, oh no, somebody will actually do that. They'll go into an interview with that on their face, have a batch of notes to answer questions up, and they'll just absolutely refuse to take it off their face.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure most people are going to get super, like, you're not treating me like a human being by doing this. So I'm not going to give you the time of day either.
Yeah. And it's just one of those situations where it's like, this kind of peeves me off. I'm gonna go grab the magic lamp.
I'm gonna go grab the magic lamp. It'll make me feel better.
But yeah, it's one of those situations where it's like, I saw that and I didn't fully understand it until just now. But now looking at it, it's like, I do not want to deal with those those people in society, because there will be people that will be wearing that like 100% the time, and all
There's
I could
still people that wear their fucking mask in the car by themselves.
yeah, and there's still people that wear Google Glass because they thought it was really nice, even though apparently it's now been officially banned.
You're not allowed to drive while wearing Google Glass. I mean, that seems
No,
somewhat reasonable.
No, you can't even enter certain establishments while wearing Google Glass.
Oh, interesting. I mean, I can see that, because, I mean, it's basically a fucking camera.
Yeah, and admittedly, like, most of the ones that I know of are governmental facilities, which, fuck yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we're not going to allow you to wear wearable cameras on your face. And
Are you
walk into a
stupid?
secure facility. It's like,
Oh, wait, you work for the government.
Yeah,
I mean, there's reasons to work for the government that aren't stupid. They do.
I mean, somebody has to be to keep something running.
Yeah. I mean, they do have good benefits.
Not to mention, probably the most competent people in government are always the tax people.
Mhm.
yeah.
Because they're the ones who are always making sure everybody's paying their taxes. Or at least doing creative accounting to make sure certain people aren't.
Yeah. Let's do some creative accounting. Make sure that the.
Oh yeah, I finally found that initial rumor / leak that suggested the $2 million. And I think you misunderstood the difference between liquidable assets and cash.
Okay, maybe that is a distinct possibility.
Because the initial thing said 2 million in cash. And considering how much Disney essentially relies on, goodwill and banks for loans,
Yeah.
I could easily believe that a lot of it is, essentially smoke and mirrors. We have lots of money. So you can trust us to get paid.
Yeah. They don't even have enough money to make a movie.
Well, straight out of the pocket, yes. But
Yeah.
that's fine at the moment because all the movies that they're releasing have already been made. All the movies that they're going to be making are on the back burner, waiting for, the writer's strike to finish. Or at least conclude.
I heard a conspiracy theory that the writer's strike is actually planned in part by Disney to get rid of all the useless people.
Actually, that's one of the big things I've heard all around. Essentially, the idea is that allow the writer's strike to happen and then use a particular legal concept of force majeure, yes, to essentially eliminate the contract.
Yeah.
Because the idea is that extraneous circumstances have forced us that we can no longer, honor the contract, such as having certain actors available, having certain time slots available, organizational things, so they can essentially state, okay, contract's null and void. We don't have to pay you. We don't have to honor the contract.
Get the fuck out.
Essentially. Like, a lot of the writers that are currently striking are finding a lot of their contracts being turned over to force majeure, that they were relying on the idea of, like, okay, we at least have some safety net,
No, you don't.
and are now going to social media / GoFundMe or other such things to get some quick cash to keep them supported. So,
Yeah, I saw something about that earlier, where it's like, yeah, now they're going to GoFundMe to say, please don't let them end this project because, oh wait, you have to work to get paid.
Yeah. admittedly, it's one of those things of like I look at some of the whole like, oh, all these writers, and we still have this kind of garbage plot.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, you guys want to be paid more for this?
Well, half the problem isn't necessarily the quality of the writing. Yes, I know. Let me just finish.
Mhm.
It's the fact that they're arguing that they want to have more writers per thing. In other words, they essentially are stating that we want to make it more corporate by putting more cooks in the kitchen, regardless of whether they should be in the kitchen.
Like, you guys are demanding more pay when your output has never been worse. Yeah, let's see how this works out for you, God.
And
Actually, it makes me genuinely wonder whether the previous writer strike has led to the current problem with movies.
oh,
Well, think about it. Yes, we had sequels. Yes, we had sequelitis. You had various movies go on and on and on. You had the Rambo movies. You had like Jason versus Freddy, things like that.
Hey, I actually like the first one.
Well, you know what I mean. You ended up
Yeah.
having these lot of just. You did have sequels, but you did have a lot of original films.
Yeah, no, I completely get where you're coming from.
And a lot of things such as like just new IP in general, or you didn't even think of it as IP at the time. It was like literally like, oh, new film, starring your favorite actors.
Mhm.
But after the previous writer strike, how much of the films ended up really changing?
Yeah, into
Like,
recycled garbage or the same
arguably,
ideas.
one thing that is true is that after the previous writer strike, we did get essentially the beginnings of Marvel. Because didn't the first Iron Man get released in 2006?
That was 2008.
Seven.
I'm not sure anymore.
It's either like 2006 to 2008. I want to say 2007. And since the writer strike was in 2007, the one which we're talking about, and it only lasted what, like 3 months?
Something like that. I don't know.
I don't know. It was relatively short. I don't know. They usually don't try to exacerbate it too long because of the scheduling problems that is inherent to it. And a lot of series ended up suffering because of it.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of shows, movies, films. Like, Heroes is the classic go-to one to say it was destroyed because of the writer strike.
You know, I never got into Arrows.
Admittedly, the first season
at the
wasn't
time.
bad, but every subsequent season just felt worse.
It's one of those where it's like, oh, it has a really cool concept to start, and then it fell off a cliff.
Yeah, well, it had a lot of intrigue. It had a lot of, like, okay, these are some interesting character premises. But it was also a thing of, like, okay, what's the reason for why this is happening? What's the thing that's going on? Heck, a lot of other shows were actually killed relatively soon after, simply because they were trying to follow the Lost format of, like, oh, let's do some science fiction mystery drama stuff.
Yeah.
And some of them were probably far better than Lost. But
That's the reason
got
why
killed.
I agree with Doomcock when he says that J.J. Abrams is the cinematic antichrist.
anyway, we've hit the 2-hour mark, so
Okay.
I didn't want to get into most of the other dungeons because I don't want to get too deep into it, but also to, actively grind stuff out so that I could, get stuff up and running. Tuesday stream, we might be back to Valheim. Admittedly, we'll be down one person. Unless he decides to just show up out of nowhere, but that's hope.
Yeah.
Outside of that, if it's not Valheim, it's probably going to be finished doing more Deathloop, which apparently that's the last greatest game from Arcane Studios now.
I mean, it was sort of lukewarm at the time.
Yeah.
But then
Deathloop was
again, it
fucking
seems like a
mid as
better
shit.
concept,
Yeah.
and it's probably better done.
Yeah.
It's sad that that's their last good game. Not even good. It's like that's their last functional fucking game.
And
I don't know.
that's
It
the
says
thing.
everything when Eddie says like, "Oh yeah, everybody's overreacting about Redfall, but still plays Deathloop over it."
My thoughts are, it's like I've been listening to the dialogue, and all I can think of is this just a bunch of kids playing pretend, and we're just in their imagination?
Was it like super cringe Zoomer humor?
I wouldn't say
Humor.
Zoomer humor, but
Would you
it's
have a
trying to be ever so quippy constantly.
Oh, so like a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
it's weird because like our main character, uh, is it Carl?
Yes, it's Carl.
Carl tends to come off as that bumbling hero type where he can't come up with a good comeback, and his arch nemesis, Julianne, is constantly the one-up quipping rival.
Mm-hmm.
And the dialogue,
Well-
it's like, no, this is like something 12-year-olds would say to each other. Well, not 12-year-olds, like 8-year-olds would say to each other, because they're doing a play pretend game. It's like, haha, I shot you. No, you didn't. I had bulletproof armor on. Well, I had armor-piercing bullets in my gun.
Jesus.
And it's like, it's not exact, but it's like that level of quippiness. I'm like,
I don't know.
That's not quips. That's a fucking.
The one bit of dialogue that really made me not like the dialogue for the game was one character, essentially sounding like the worst boss you could possibly have in a rocket control room. Like, you have this serious guy doing like serious checkup, like check this, turn on this, turn off this, and she just comes in, look, just turn everything on and turn everything off that you need to do that with.
and then get
Like-
started on the launch.
And then she quit. Then she does this horrible like countdown where it's all uneven and disinterested.
Oh.
Then shouts at the other guy, "Oh, that's your cue to do it," and then goes 3, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, start.
Why isn't it starting? This is all your fault. And it's like,
Admittedly, if it's supposed to make you dislike her, it's pretty obvious and on the nose, but it's cringy in that sense.
Yeah.
yeah, and that's why it's like, that's why everything
That's
me.
like, God, what was that? What was the other game? Not the good one. There's two that.
Anyway, should we end the stream, or did you do that already?
Not yet. I was trying.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I thought we were just chatting. But,
In this case,
hello,
let me
stream
finish up
people.
first before you can finish your thought.
Okay. Well,
But-
I'm just gonna finish my thought anyway, since people were here for it anyway. But it reminds me of that. What game was it? Outer Wilds and Outer Worlds. I can't remember which one is which because they both have the exact same name, similar names, and like.
Outer Wilds, I'm pretty sure is the 20-minute to Doomsday one,
Yeah, that's the one
which
where it,
doesn't
like
have that kind of dialogue, I would think.
Okay, yeah, no.
Well,
then
Outer
it's-
Worlds was the ones going like, "Hey, we're the real guys who, made the Fallout games."
Yeah, and then
and
it was
all-
really cringy and bad.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's the
Oh,
exact what you were saying about the game we were just talking about. I forgot the name. That's how I remember.
Deathloop.
Deathloop.
Thank you. That level of dialogue, I heard somebody call it middle school humor.
Yeah, I
Well,
could
it's a
see.
bunch of like, as Asher was saying, a bunch of 8-year-olds copying 12-year-olds.
Yeah, it's the middle school humor that was really prevalent in Outer Worlds and made it really fucking cringy.
And
Like the big example that I can point to is at the very beginning of Outer Worlds when the professor hits the button on the launch pod and
Mhm.
nothing happens, and then he stares at you and there's an awkward pause, and then he hits the button again and nothing happens, and he stares at you and there's an awkward pause, and then he kind of gives that awkward chuckle, and then he does that thing that they always do in middle school humor style stuff where he just pounds on the buttons really fast and then it goes. It's like this is
Yes.
comedy to these people. This is top tier comedy.
I mean, like, there are certain situations where that's funny, but the situations that I see that as funny is usually we're talking like anthropomorphic ducks, and this is a Disney show for
Yeah,
kids.
exactly. It's middle school humor. It's like this is something I expect to see in a cartoon or something for children, not a game about fighting the corporations. Which, God, could that game have any more ham-fisted? Don't get me wrong.
No.
I think corporations are fucking, not good. But I get really tired of this ham-fisted corporation's bad that people always fucking do. It's like, have an original thought, please.
I mean,
At
like,
least present a different reason why corporation bad versus go, of course corporation bad. Why would you think any way else?
Yeah, or at least provide some nuance, but they always go straight for the fucking supervillain route of like, this is so ridiculously over the top that it is now unbelievable.
I will point to a game that, at least from what I played of at least an updated version of the story, Hard Space Shipbreaker, was, yeah, corporations are bad, but it's treated in the same way that you'd actually encounter in real life, which is, oh yeah, welcome to indentured servitude. If you do your job, potentially you can get out, but
I felt like it's not as bad, but I felt Shipbreaker was a little ham-fisted too. I literally after the game came out,
uh-huh.
like the full story, I stopped playing it because I'm like, this story is so fucking cringe.
Admittedly, like the last time I played it was when they finally introduced the actual exploring your habitat.
Yeah, well, I mean, I played it again when 1.0 came out because I'm like, oh, it's done. Let's see what it's like. And then like, I
Yeah.
couldn't get over like how ham-fisted it all was. And I'm like, yeah, I can see what you guys are trying to do, but do you have to be so on the nose about everything?
Eh.
Anyway, we're still
Anyway,
streaming.
yeah,
We're still, we're still
let's finish. Let's close out and then we can talk about everything else. But so next Tuesday, we hope for Valheim. Edna will be down one potentially. If not, that'll probably be another stream of
Deathloop.
Deathloop. Admittedly, Baron5X/Eddie is going to probably be swapping from breaking the loop to protecting the loop, aka the invader route, just to show it off a bit. Thursday's going to be the same. Friday, we're going to try and do more Final Fantasy V, aka get a couple of those weapons and then move on to try and getting a few more and collecting a few rest of the stuff while gearing up for the final fights. We do have a podcast that came out today. That's listenable on all major podcasts, so Apple, Google, Spotify. All of our streams are archived on YouTube. And I'd probably say that's about it.
spot the Google spot.
Google Spot.
Okay.
Alright. Night, everybody.
Bye.